What's going on, everybody? It's me, Jason, with buybuildsell, your Los Angeles contractor and developer. And today we are on our 5-lot subdivision. Here's one thing you didn't think would be a problem when doing a 5-lot subdivision project. So today we're going to be going over the street improvement issues that we have here at the project. We're going to talk to Ed, our project manager on the site, who's going to be dealing with those issues, going through the details on all of the small, minute elements of this whole entire thing and what really the insightful aspects of this whole thing is, because I can basically just go on and say, hey, we have an issue, this is how we're going to fix it, but really what are we doing to take care of this? Let's go check it out. I'm sure you can find the big yellow sore thumb right behind me. Ed, tell us what's going on here.
So right here we're on the outside of the project, and this is really where everything starts. We got to establish, in this case, all the street work and street improvements that we're doing here. We have to establish the curb and gutter height, and that's really where everything's going to flow from. The street's going to flow from the curb and gutter height, the sidewalk's going to flow from the curb and gutter height, and the height of our buildings are going to really flow from the curb and gutter height. So that's what we've done. We've done a lot of work, and now we're in the middle of the street actually right here, and we have a fire hydrant that's been placed here for many years, and it's about 4 feet, 4 feet above the current grade. And so we need to make sure that we address that this will be lowered to the proper height inside of the sidewalk once all is said and done. And this starts with establishing a survey of exact heights of the curb and gutter. Then we know exactly where we want that to go. We can get in touch with the Department of Water and Power, have them come out and work with us to get it lowered and do whatever they need to get it lowered down to the correct height. And this ties in to this entire street improvement that you see all the way up here. We actually have meters that are out there in the streets that are going to need to be brought into the properties, like water meters that are brought into the properties. So
basically digging up the street, breaking that street all the way up, moving everything, what, 10 feet this way? 10 feet towards the property?
Well, right now what you see right here is half of the street. We're going to be doing another 22 feet exactly like that right here of asphalt, and then there's going to be curb and gutter and 10 feet of sidewalk and green belt closer to the property, and then a retaining wall along the entire property, all along 700-800 feet of this side over here.
So if you ever wondered, you know, who creates the street, or you know, is the city doing the street work, or is the contractor doing the street work? I mean, I can't speak for every single project, but for this project in particular, we're actually doing the city work for them. We're literally creating the street, creating the green strip, creating the sidewalk, moving, having all the utility companies move all of their boxes and everything forward. Everything's got to be moved over. This got to be dropped down. All these things have to be coordinated with the city to actually get this to be done appropriately and appropriately and efficiently. The biggest thing that it's talking about is really setting our elevations, because if we don't set the elevations properly on this point, everything there could be off. So that's why this is so important.
The other thing that's really important to think about is the safety. So when we're out here and there's all kinds of easements and utilities that are running down right below us or a little closer to the center in this case, there's massive water lines, could be gas lines, sewer, electric, there could be utilities, communication lines, and they're allowed to be there. This is their place. This is their kind of highway where they flow, and we're now encroaching in that space when we're digging around and trying to do our thing. So we need to call Dig Alert and make sure that we have each of these companies come out and mark exactly where their utilities are, and we make sure that we're very careful around those utilities and we don't hit any of those lines, and we work really carefully. If we find anything that's out of the ordinary, we immediately contact them and communicate and figure it out. So this is kind of a process. You don't just come out here with your backhoe and start digging in the street. You got to really be careful out here.
Thank you, Ed.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Really appreciate those details. Next, we're going to go through the foundation process that we're going through here, because this is pretty insane. We're literally doing 10 slabs? 9 slabs.
Nine total slabs here.
So forget about the fact that it's 5 separate lots. We have 9 different slabs that we're actually getting done here. So by creating systems, we're actually able to get so much done, and I'm really excited to show you the process of all of this stuff, because it almost feels like you're doing 9 different houses at this stage right now. And the process, you can literally see the differences between what it was to what it will become. So it's pretty cool. I'll show you what's going on right now. Coming up next. So you might be wondering why we just dropped off a bunch of gravel at a concrete site. The reason is because we actually lay the gravel on the bed of the dirt before we actually pour the concrete. So here's the process that we're doing. Okay, what we have here is we're looking at this. Let's just use this garage as our example. We're gonna lay the gravel in here. We're gonna get an even level. We're going to put the plastic on, the sand on, and then wrap our rebar on top of that. Okay, so the concrete actually gets poured on top of the sand. Now, the reason that we're actually, if you can kind of visualize the layers here, you have the gravel, the plastic, the sand, the rebar, and the concrete going obviously in between the rebar there. What's happening is that gravel is actually going to be the element that allows any water that's below the concrete level to actually percolate and run and get absorbed back into the soil. So anything that comes through that gravel hits the plastic, that plastic runs that water off back into that gravel, which percolates back down and then out into the rest of the soil that's here. Ed has a little bit more to talk about that, more details on that, exactly like why the sand is there, you know, size of the plastic. Is there a difference between why we use a 10 mil on some projects, 20 mil on another project? Anything like that?
Well, starting back down at the gravel layer over here for this 4-inch slab, and there might be different levels. You've got to look at your plans and the structural and make sure you're following what's on the plans. You got to make sure that all the notes and all the details are matching up, and basically once you check that all out, in this case we got the 4-inch gravel layer, and on top of that gravel layer we're going to have a 10 mil visqueen, which is a plastic that's going to be the vapor barrier. So any moisture that does come up and just latent moisture will just kind of, you know, it'll get stuck there and then just work its way back down. On top of that plastic barrier we're going to have the about 1 inch of sand, and that's going to be the bed for the concrete, and the concrete will get poured onto that bed and go flow between the rebar all the way up to the top and get smoothed out and floated out to be our slab. And the reason for that sand is so that the concrete doesn't crack when it gets poured in there. It's got a nice soft, got like a nice soft bed, and it can absorb, and it takes a little bit longer for it to dry. And then once that's on there, especially if it's hot out, we want to keep that slab wet. The longer we can keep it, the drying process going, the harder that concrete's going to get. If it dries too quickly, you might not get your ratings. You just want it to dry really nice and slowly. In fact, sometimes concrete dries the best underwater. So that's something you want to consider, especially on a warm day like today.
Thanks, Ed. I really appreciate that. That was awesome. Let's go over the rest of the project. So essentially, we have our trades getting wrapped up on anything that we have. So all of our plumbing underground was done before footings were poured. Now we have all of our underground electrical getting done to basically run to any interior slab sections like an island or anything like that. All that's getting done now. Really cool about this thing, not all the time is this possible, but we're actually able to pull the truck in to the site and finish off the rest of our pour without getting the pump involved and kind of be able to finish off this last section of pour. And we're pretty lucky to have that done. You can actually see really quick, we were just talking about this whole entire thing. You can literally see right here, the gravel is underneath this. Okay, well this happens to be a footing for some reason. You have the plastic and then you have that sand, and you can see that space with the rebar. That rebar, the sand is gonna get pushed down and dispersed into space, dispersed into its area that it can go into. And then you're gonna get about 4 inches thick of concrete that's gonna be right in there. So that's basically what that gravel is for. That's what you're seeing for this section right here. This is actually done. You can see that concrete getting poured right now. This is pretty awesome. And it's pretty convenient that we can literally just stack this right in, pour it right in place, and the guys don't have to deal with the pump at this section. But this is awesome. So right now what they're doing here is they're floating the floor. Okay, that's called floating. And then right here, they're screeding, finishing the slab. And all the way back here, come on, check it out. They're already deforming the slab. They've already had all of this poured and finished. Look at how amazing this looks. All right, nobody tell on me. Yeah. It did absolutely nothing. It's too hard already. It is what it is, we tried. Find out how we frame these houses on an upcoming video coming soon. Now, of course, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the page, and I'll see you on the next video. Make sure you press that bell button. It lets you know more videos are coming. We upload twice a week. And of course, your support's my motivation, so that subscription really means a lot to me. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.